nice big crowd that we have here today. As you know, it's an exciting time for all of you, hopefully, or most of you, or a scary time. Yeah. Neither?
Definitely not excited.
Definitely not excited, okay? Well, I'm excited to try to help as many of you to get into the apartments that you have and be able to keep them and watch their value grow. We got to do this in the, with Rivercross and see the, people getting those and the prices of those, you're astonished to see the prices and values of those property right down the road. And when you see the value of what your unit is, it kind of like blows your mind, right? You'll be like, oh, I don't even know if that's true, right? Well, the same size apartments are going for even a little more right down the block. Okay? So,
The sponsor, not my banking.
what?
The sponsor is getting that money, that kind of money. We're not allowed to sell it.
Well, not yet. I mean, not yet. But there'll be times down the road that you will. And for some people, it's a big jump in what they have to pay. For some people, it's actually a little less. But I think in general, probably for most people, it's more. Okay. I actually did get to go to lunch with one of the sponsors yesterday. We went back and forth on a few things. They don't have everything figured 100% out yet. In some ways, it seems like they're, listening to you guys when they talk, and they're trying to make things easier. Because right now, it does seem like there's a lot of hurdles involved in the process. But as they work through them with you, hopefully it'll be like a decent two-way street. Okay. I don't know. I know there's a lot of new faces here today. I don't know how much each one of you know. Like, how many of you went to one of the meetings at Island House when they had the meetings about buying the apartments? I don't know, just to get it. Okay.
And we
So,
all had a memo.
and you bought a memo, all the things. So it's like, like some of the basics. That they're wanting 10%. By March 31st. Everyone knows that. And then when we close, there'll be another 10%. Okay? That's one of the basics. The closing costs from the bank side will be roughly $3,500, and that includes some of the things that Island House might ask for as well in that group, but they have their own set of closing costs that are, based on the formula and a couple other legal counsel and things like that. So that's a basic question I get a lot. Our basic, 30-year rate, if you're putting just 20% down, today is 3.75 for a 30-year loan, 3.125 if you wanted a 15-year loan, around 3.25 or so for a 10-year adjustable rate mortgage. Just moved around probably 3.375 today, 3 3/8 today. If you wanted something that maybe is a 10-1 on, something that stays the same for 10 years and then changes. So we have some options, as far as what kind of loans to get. Some of the questions that I get to, I don't have all the answers to about adding people to the lease and things like that. There's some of the things that the sponsors are kind of going back and forth with themselves. I know some of you want people to be added on. One basic rule, if the person's not living in the apartment, I can't have them on the mortgage. Okay? So they can give you money toward the mortgage, a family member, etc., to bring that down payment or that 20% or even more, but I can't use their income. I can't use the income of, your son who lives in Jersey and works in the city and wants to help you buy. That's not going to fly on kind of both ends of the deal, because they're not going to put the son onto the lease and then without them on the lease, I can't have them on the, the papers to own, and without them on the papers to own, I can't put them on the mortgage. So it's kind of like a common, yes.
If they're living in the apartment and not on the lease, can you use both incomes? Because a lot of people have gotten new leases where they've made errors with a lot of things.
They said that they would work on fixing, they said that wasn't a done deal.
But is that an issue with you as a bank to give a mortgage?
No, as a bank, as long as they're on they have to be on the final paperwork, the ownership paperwork.
But not the lease?
But not the leases,
Okay.
they want you to be on the lease, to be on the paperwork, so it is the same thing, except for you go to them first, and then get them on there.
Yeah, they're refusing.
Get the
We
go ahead.
have been going through the process of getting my wife on the lease.
Yes.
Which we had it on the previous lease.
Okay.
And on the previous lease to that, I wasn't on the lease.
So
They are completely
it's not just
disorganized.
us, there's a lot of people on this.
Yeah, I wrote the statement, I had to file.
Yeah, the question was, yes, the question was that they have a lease that the wife's on, the husband's not. The lease before, the husband's on, the wife's not, and now they're kind of working with the sponsor, trying to get them on together, and they're not on together yet. They did tell me yesterday that they were going to work to get those right, okay? There's been a lot of situations just like that, and they're gonna work on, getting those leases correct, because if they're gonna ask you to pay this money down, they need to get their ducks in a row in order to get your money in, and for that to be the same. First that and first that lose.
What's the second 10% you just mentioned? There's 10% down payment, and then you
Right,
say at
it's
the
10%
end.
because 20% down total is what the amount is needed, okay?
For you.
For the mortgage, yes, okay? Obviously, your building, it can't get mortgage insurance on it, or because of its situation. So there's no mortgage insurance lenders that would lend in that building because it's so unique right now. In the future, that could be different, but for now, it can't. So it has to be 20% total down. And the bank's letting the 10% you're giving to the sponsors count as the first 10. And then at the closing, whenever that might be, in the future, we've heard different dates too. I have a question too, just to throw out. Has anyone heard the latest on when that closing time will be?
No, April plus half a year.
July.
June or July.
June or July, okay. Yeah, okay.
But we have another problem. As long as we don't know if it's legal for the sponsor to take, to keep the 10% in case there's a problem and you cannot arrange, you cannot have either the mortgage or there's a problem with
Something.
yes.
Okay, so her question
No
was
one
that
will
no one
accept that
knows
he keeps the 10%.
if it's legal, for them to keep the 10%. If something bad happens in the future, because you're the one really putting yourselves out there, each one of you. When you come meet with me, that's why we're gonna if I give you that pre-approval letter, as long as your situation stays relatively close to the same, that's the only way I'll give you that letter, okay? Like, last time I was here, met with about 7 people, 5 of them got the letter, 2 of them didn't, So there's different, ways to qualify or not with that. Question in the back?
Yeah, I had met with,
Barul?
yes, and we met and we talked, and she took my brief, but I didn't get a letter because she said they didn't have enough information yet, or they weren't sure of several.
Okay, and what was the last name? Your last name? What was it?
Libner, right? Your last name is?
Harriet? Harriet? Your first name?
Libner, right?
Kelly Kruger.
Oh, Kelly Kruger.
I see.
Okay, well, we'll talk, you guys have my email, right? It's on the card. I mean, hopefully you'll grab a card. Hopefully you'll grab a card when you're still here, about if you have specific questions specific to your situation. I work late all the time, okay? And if it's missing something, she said that's one more thing I need to know, it's okay? All right, well, I'll find out, okay? I mean, I'll find out why, but it will be like a thorough examination, because I know you guys have to put the 10% down, you know, first. So I don't want that responsibility and without doing both our homework, okay? Shaking. Yes, right there.
Let's say I get the approval letter from you
Yeah.
after you have checked everything about my situation.
Mm-hmm. You will get that. There's people in this room that have it already.
And let's say my situation remains.
Oh, he's like, oh, no, he's not done with the question.
And let's say my situation remains the same
Yes.
before the closing. What other reasons could you have to change your mind? Let's say, for
Well,
example,
he said if you get a letter and his situation stays the same, what reasons do I have to change my mind? None. Okay, that's why we do this process, you know, the whole thing.
You were aware frame, you gave the approval in March,
Yeah,
but the closing is
Is
taking place in end of July.
yeah, there's
Everything
no,
stays the same?
yeah, there's no,
No cost?
No limit,
there's no, what do you mean no limit?
limit of time.
Yeah, with the letter that you get,
Yes.
I know the situation here, it's gonna have the address of your apartment here for Island House. It's gonna be good until it closes, unless look,
No
there
fee.
is, there's no fee to get the letter.
No.
Is there a time limit?
No, there's there's no,
90 days, 60 days.
90 days.
oh, to lock you're talking about the rate?
Yeah, time.
Right, the rate is 60 days, okay?
So how can that be?
Exactly.
We're not locking a rate now. I'm saying
Not locking the rate?
you can't lock a rate now,
Why not?
because you can't lock a rate for the summer.
Did the sponsor mention that he was going to extend the 90-day period by chance? Because that's something that we all want.
Because we're all going to exceed that 90 days, because they've told us, we're all going to exceed the 90 days. They've told us they don't know when they will close, because there are so many apartments. It may be
Right.
July,
What
August.
I was talking about is the to make sure you're gonna lend and get the loan. I can't, yeah, like to be qualified for the loan. If your situation stays the same, you'll still get the loan. Can I say it definitely will be 3.75
Yeah.
in the summer?
No.
No.
But once we get a loan,
I
the
can't.
rate would be.
But yeah, but like, once we get, like, if they tell us that, June 1st, we can start, closing these things, So you get your money in, March 31st, first week of April, we can put it in, we can lock the rate, and it's not like a dogmatic 60 days on the lock. I mean, we could, there's a little bit where, if it's like a week later or something like that, we're not here to go, change things up on you. It's like part of the reason we do this is to be involved in the community here as well. And our name, if you ask the people from, River Cross about how, like they got the deals, most of them were very happy, and that's how come we got here. We're hopefully going to do the next building too.